Hey there. You ready to dive into some serious intrigue?
Oh, yeah, I think we're about to go deep on this one.
We're talking Sean P. Diddy Combs
P. Diddy.
and the maze of conspiracy theories surrounding him.
Oh, man.
You send over a whole collection of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Kamar Jirai, Hirota Radifan, even Nessie Judge has something to say about this.
Wow, they've all got something to say about Diddy.
So buckle up, because we're going deep on this one.
Hmm.
We're talking allegations, whispers of a darker side, and even those wild theories connecting Diddy to some of music's biggest tragedies.
Some of these theories, man.
Right off the bat, it's important to remember. P. Diddy is synonymous with success. We're talking Bad Boy Records, a string of chart-topping hits, Grammy Awards.
The guy is a straight-up icon.
The guy's a titan in the music industry. And his influence doesn't stop there. Clothing lines, TV shows, even his own tequila brand. Diddy built an empire.
He's got his hands in everything.
And that's key to understanding the weight of these accusations. We aren't talking about someone easily pushed around. This is a man accustomed to power, to getting what he wants.
Right, he's at the top of the food chain.
And that context hangs over everything we're about to unpack.
Yeah, it does put a different spin on things.
It's fascinating, really, because Diddy's career, even early on, has this undercurrent of violence, of aggression that's hard to ignore. I mean, that fight with Tupac Shakur immediately comes to mind.
Yeah.
And then there's the alleged assault on Steve Stout, the music executive.
Right.
And let's not forget the nightclub shooting back in '99. While it's crucial to remember, Diddy wasn't convicted in every case.
Right.
It does make you wonder, was there a pattern emerging? Was wealth and influence enough to silence accusations before they became major problems?
That's the question, isn't it?
It makes you think about how those early incidents, even if they were just whispers at the time, might have foreshadowed what was to come.
Yeah, like looking back, were there red flags all along?
Were they brushed aside because of who Diddy was, the power he held? Because things definitely took a turn, a very public and very dark turn, with Cassie Ventura's lawsuit in 2023.
Things definitely changed after that.
That was a bombshell, no two ways about it.
It was huge.
Cassie Ventura, Diddy's longtime girlfriend, accused him of years of abuse.
Wow.
Physical, emotional, even sexual.
I mean, that's
And this wasn't a fling. This was a relationship spanning over a decade.
intense.
Oh,
And
yeah.
for her to come forward like that.
That lawsuit, even though it was settled out of court,
Right.
seemed to break a dam. Suddenly, other accusers felt empowered to come forward with their own stories.
It's like it opened the floodgates.
Rodney Liller Rott Jones Jr., an artist who worked with Diddy,
Lil Rod.
claimed he was pressured into sexual acts, threatened when he resisted. It was a direct accusation, adding fuel to a fire that was quickly spreading.
Wow. And it didn't stop there.
Then came even more women alleging abuse, some of these incidents allegedly dating back to the 90s. It painted a picture of a pattern of behavior spanning years that was impossible to ignore.
A pattern of behavior.
And as if those accusations weren't enough, that hotel CCTV footage surfaced, appearing to show Diddy physically attacking Ventura.
Oh, wow.
It directly contradicted his public image and the denials from his legal team.
I remember that footage. It was everywhere.
The whispers were getting louder.
Yeah, and they were starting to sound a lot more believable.
And this is where the story takes an even darker turn,
Oh, really?
where the accusations go from disturbing to downright sinister. We're talking about the rumors surrounding Diddy's freak-off parties.
Those are legendary.
These gatherings, allegedly fueled by drugs and taking place in Diddy's lavish mansion, weren't just your typical Hollywood bashes.
No, they weren't.
If the accusations are true, they were more calculated. So imagine a system where Diddy used his power and wealth to coerce and exploit people,
Yeah, I can see that.
especially young artists hungry for a break in the industry.
That makes sense.
And those details from the raid on Diddy's Miami mansion, the sheer volume of baby oil, lubricant, and sex toys found there,
Oh, wow.
it's unsettling to say the least.
It's a lot to unpack.
It feeds into this narrative of a darker side to these parties,
Yeah,
a side where consent might have been blurry at best.
that's putting it lightly.
This wasn't just about partying, it was about power.
Exactly.
Imagine being a young, aspiring artist invited into that world,
Oh, man. I can't even imagine.
into Diddy's inner circle. The pressure, the potential consequences of saying no,
It would be insane.
it's a lot to grapple with.
Absolutely.
And in a cutthroat industry like music, that kind of pressure can easily silence victims.
For sure.
Who wants to risk their career, their reputation, by speaking out against someone as powerful as Diddy?
No one. It's like biting the hand that feeds you.
Which brings us to the more extreme theories surrounding Diddy, the ones that send chills down your spine.
Oh, well, here we go.
We're talking about the alleged connections to the deaths of Biggie and Tupac.
Oh, man, those are...
Now it's crucial to state up front. These are highly speculative claims. Biggie and Tupac's deaths remain unsolved mysteries, and we're not here to point fingers.
Right, of course.
But it's impossible to ignore the whispers, the threads that some people are pulling at.
I know what you mean. The timing of it all. It's just...
The timing of their deaths just months apart, both from shootings and both at the height of their careers and rivalry with Diddy's bad boy records. It's a lot of coincidences piled on top of each other.
It really is.
And then there are those Eminem lyrics that have sparked a firestorm online.
Oh, yeah. What about those lyrics?
When Eminem raps, trying to beef with him, but he might put a hit on me like he did, people listen.
They definitely listen.
Especially when that line is followed by R.I.P. Biggie and Pac. Both of y'all should be living.
Yeah, I remember that. It's like he's calling him out.
It's almost like Eminem is dropping a breadcrumb trail, hinting at something more, something darker lurking beneath the surface. Of course, Eminem is known for his over-the-top lyrics.
Right. Eminem is gonna Eminem.
And his penchant for controversy.
Yeah.
He's also a master of wordplay, of weaving narratives that are open to interpretation.
For sure.
So while those lyrics are definitely eyebrow-raising, we have to be careful about drawing conclusions.
Right. We can't take everything literally.
But those lyrics aren't the only thing fueling the speculation.
Yeah.
There's also the fact that Diddy directly benefited from Biggie and Tupac's deaths. With them out of the picture, Bad Boy Records had a clear path to dominate the hip-hop scene.
Yeah, he did become king of the hill after that.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
It's almost Shakespearean, this story of ambition, rivalry, and the price of power.
It's like something out of a movie.
And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Because the conspiracy theories don't stop with Biggie and Tupac.
Oh, no.
Some of those YouTube videos even try to connect Diddy to the deaths of Michael Jackson and Kobe Bryant.
Come on now, really.
It does feel like we're stretching the limits of plausibility with those connections. While the deaths of Biggie and Tupac, given the context of their rivalry with Diddy, could be woven into a somewhat believable narrative.
Yeah, you could maybe make a case.
Linking him to Michael Jackson or Kobe Bryant feels like a reach.
It's a bit of a stretch.
But even if those connections are tenuous at best, they speak to something larger, something about the public's perception of Diddy. These theories, whether based in reality or not, highlight a deep-seated distrust, a suspicion that maybe, just maybe, there's more to the story, that things aren't always what they seem.
It makes you wonder what else is going on behind the scenes.
And that brings us to a particularly fascinating thread in this whole saga, one that pulls us out of the U.S. and into the world of Indonesian pop star Agnes Mo.
Agnes Mo. Okay.
Have you heard this story?
I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh yeah, the whole Agnes Mo Club appearance thing definitely piqued my interest. So she's on a podcast talking about her career, and she mentions this offer. She got a lucrative one to make appearances at a few clubs in New York City.
Okay.
Just a quick 30-minute thing promoting her single Overdose.
Overdose. Got it.
Which, by the way, featured Chris Brown.
Oh, wow. Chris Brown was in on that track?
Another interesting connection. Chris Brown, an artist with his own history of controversy, was also connected to Diddy early on in his career.
Huh. It's like everything leads back to Diddy.
It's like a spiderweb, isn't it? All these threads connecting back to Diddy in one way or another. But back to Agnes Mo, she turned down the offer. Flat out refused to do those club appearances.
She said no to Diddy.
And when you hear which clubs, it makes you wonder if she dodged a bullet. These weren't just any clubs.
Oh, really?
These were clubs known to be part of Diddy's scene.
Okay.
The same scene where those freak-off parties allegedly went down.
So you're saying she was maybe asked to be part of one of those parties?
And that's what has people speculating, wondering if Agnes Mo had caught wind of something, a whiff of a darker side to those clubs, to Diddy's world.
I can see that.
Maybe she saw something, heard something that made her say, no thanks, I'm good.
That's wild.
It's fascinating to think about, right? Here's this young, rising star, seemingly on the cusp of breaking into the U.S. market.
Yeah.
And she makes a choice that could be seen as going against her own self-interest, at least professionally.
Right. You'd think she'd jump at that kind of opportunity.
It begs the question, what did she know, or what did she suspect, that made her willing to walk away from that opportunity?
It makes you think.
And it makes you wonder about the ripple effects of that decision.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Did her refusal to play the game, whether conscious or not, affect her career trajectory? Did she prioritize her principles, her sense of safety, over potential fame and fortune?
That's a tough call.
That's a powerful statement, especially in an industry often driven by ambition and compromise.
Absolutely. And you
Yeah,
got to respect that.
absolutely. It really makes you think about the choices people make when navigating those circles of power and influence.
Yeah, you have to wonder what you would do in that situation.
And it makes you appreciate those who, like Agnes Moe, seem to prioritize their values above all else.
For sure.
Speaking of navigating those circles, we can't talk about Diddy without mentioning Justin Bieber. Here's another young star who was pulled into Diddy's orbit early in his career.
Oh, yeah, Bieber.
It's almost eerie looking back at those early photos of Bieber with Diddy and Usher, knowing what we know now.
Yeah.
It's like those pictures hold a hidden tension, a sense of foreboding.
Wow. Yeah, it's a different feeling looking at them now.
Because we know Usher, Diddy's protege, was instrumental in launching Bieber's career.
Right. Usher was huge back then.
And we also know Bieber's early years were, well, let's just say troubled.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He had his moments.
There were the run-ins with the law, the erratic behavior, those very public
It
meltdowns.
was rough time for him.
And now, looking back through the lens of these allegations against Diddy, it makes you wonder, were those just the typical growing pains of a young star? Or was there something more sinister at play?
I see what you're saying. Like, was it just him being young and famous, or was there something darker going on?
Right. You start to see those years through different lens. Did Diddy's influence, his alleged proclivity for excess and risky behavior, rub off on Bieber? Did Bieber witness things, experience things that contributed to those darker times?
It's possible. It's definitely something to think about.
We've heard the rumors about Diddy supplying drugs at those parties, pressuring young artists to engage in reckless behavior.
Well,
While we can't definitively say that happened with Bieber, it's certainly something that's being scrutinized more closely now.
yeah, especially with everything else that's come out.
And let's not forget those times when Bieber himself has hinted at a darker side to the music industry in his lyrics and interviews.
He has said some interesting things.
Those hints, those veiled references take on a whole new meaning now.
They do make you wonder.
They do. And the fact that Bieber has distanced himself from Diddy in recent years speaks volumes.
Oh, yeah, he's been pretty quiet about their relationship.
It's like he's silently acknowledging a past. He'd rather forget a past potentially entangled with Diddy's shadow.
It's like he's trying to move on from that whole chapter.
It leaves us with more questions than answers, doesn't it?
It really does.
What did Justin Bieber experience during his time in Diddy's orbit? Are there untold stories there that might shed light on Diddy's alleged behavior? And if so, will he ever feel comfortable sharing them?
I guess only time will tell.
It's a story that's still unfolding, with each new revelation adding another layer of complexity. And speaking of unfolding stories, where do things stand with Diddy's legal situation?
I'm curious to see how it all plays out.
As we recorded this, Diddy is still awaiting trial for those charges from last September. Racketeering, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, even weapons charges. That 14-page indictment reads like a movie script. It's staggering.
Wow, that's a lot of charges.
And the sheer scope of the accusations, the number of alleged victims, the time frame we're talking about. It suggests a pattern of behavior spanning decades. It makes you wonder how many other stories might be out there, how many people might have been afraid to speak up until now.
It's hard to say, but it wouldn't be surprising if more people came forward.
Especially given the power dynamics at play. Imagine mustering the courage to speak out against someone like Diddy, someone who could make or break careers with a single phone call. It takes an incredible amount of bravery,
I can't even imagine.
and we have to commend those who have come forward.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And with the trial looming, there's a good chance we'll hear even more. Those electronic devices authorities seized from Diddy's home phones, laptops, hard drives. Imagine the potential evidence buried in there.
There could be a lot of stuff on those devices.
Like a Pandora's box, isn't it?
Yeah.
Texts, emails, maybe even footage from those freak-off parties. Evidence that could either corroborate the accusations against Diddy or potentially clear his name.
Yeah, it could go either way.
That's a lot to process, this tangled web of accusations, whispers, and speculation surrounding a man who was once a titan of the music industry.
It's a wild story.
It really makes you think about the price of fame, the intoxicating allure of power, and the importance of holding those in power accountable for their actions.
It's a good reminder that no one is above the law.
And it makes you wonder, in a world obsessed with celebrity and wealth, how do we create a culture where victims feel safe to come forward, where their stories are heard and believed?
That's the big question, isn't it?
That's the question. We're left with a question that extends far beyond Diddy and these specific allegations. It's a conversation that needs to continue, a reckoning that needs to happen. because everyone deserves to feel safe and respected, regardless of their profession, their background, or their connection to power.